And for some reason, I said to him while I was in the meeting, I'd love for you to endorse the book as well, because I need two people to endorse, right? He said, no, I'm not going to. Exactly like that. I remember walking out of there feeling a little bit embarrassed. I'm just like, no, why would God send me to this man to be insulted, right?
Hello and welcome to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, the show that brings you up close and personal with your favorite stars of reggae and dancehall music, Jamaican popular culture, and people who've impacted society in a very big way. I'm Shaun Cain. We invite you to subscribe to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain YouTube channel, like and share the videos, and leave a comment. We welcome our radio listeners in the UK on Rex Radio, in the USA on Motif Radio and Viscosity Blend, and in Jamaica on Richie B Radio. In this edition of the show, we'll speak with Philadelphia-based singer, author, and music business executive, Maurine McFarlane.
Hello.
Welcome to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, and thanks for being the latest star in our galaxy.
It is my honor to be here on the Stargaze show. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, you are welcome. You look regal in your dress. It's just royal. You know, you look great in the way you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm especially look this way because I'm actually doing two pre-recording for my own podcast today. So, you know, all the makeup artists do all this nice stuff. So I look this wonderful. Thank you.
Well, they're earning their money. They're doing a great job. But Maureen, I noticed that you're an author and you're a businesswoman, singer, radio host, and you manage artists as well. Now, what have you not done?
You know, it's amazing. I am such a entrepreneurial person, but I do have to make one correction. I am not a singer. I am the owner of a record label, and I have some of the most talented artists that is signed to my label, which I hopefully your audience will get to hear some of their songs. And yes, I'm a businesswoman. I'm an author. I've written 2 books and have about 6 more to go, but with schedule, I'm trying to get to the 3rd one.
All right, I stand corrected. But seeing that you mentioned about the singing, well, you said the singing is not part of it, so the authorship is a part of it. So let's look at some of your authored works. You are particularly drawn to the supernatural and spiritual themed messages and stories. You're so comfortable with those themes.
This is so interesting, but you would never would have believed this. I'm obviously a person of faith, right? I'm actually a Christian, but when I came to, I decided, but you know, because I do believe that God is the one that called us to Him, as the Word says. However, I'm one of those people that if I'm entering into a relationship, I wanted to know a lot more about God. Like, I mean, we're raised up in a Christian church because we were forced to go to church, spend all day in church. So I can't say that I was a believer even then. It was more like a religious thing, right? Your family pull you to church. But as an adult, I found my way to Christ on my own. But in that relationship, I wanted to know more about Him. So I spent a lot of time early in the morning. I decided I was going to give my first hour in the morning, which is about 4 a.m. And so I kind of went deep into this relationship. Then I started to have a lot of supernatural experiences that I've never had before.
What are those? What experience have you had, Maureen? Have you seen Jesus standing up in front of you and say, "Hey, come here, Momo, what's going on?"
Had quite a few, actually. And in the beginning, it was a little puzzling for me because, like I said, even though I grew up as a Christian, I never really had a relationship with God. You know what I mean? Church was just something you do because your family tell you to go. But when you are adult or whenever, it's different for different people. Once I decided I wanted to learn more about who Jesus is, I really, like I said, I get up, meditate, I read the Bible, I pray, and, I ask the Lord a lot of questions. And the first experience I had, actually, a friend of mine passed away. And I remember praying very hard that he would not die, but he did. And I was thinking, what's the point of praying if it's not going to be answered? But that night I went to bed and I had a vision. And in my vision, I saw him. And he was like in heaven, but he was also there with a relative of mine who died several years before he did, and they didn't know each other. And I thought, boy, that's kind of strange that these people are together. And what was even strange about that experience is in my dream, she died from cancer. And when she died, you know how people that die from cancer, they lose all their hair, they lost a lot of weight. She didn't look like that. She looked like before she was sick, beautiful. And when he died, he looks nothing. I mean, the looks were just different. And so I was puzzled about that. That was one of the first encounter. But the first real supernatural experience I've had is I was praying one day for Philadelphia. There was a couple years ago when I wrote my first book, that before I wrote my first book, we had a lot of wars and gang war in Philadelphia. So the murder rate was very high. And so the churches would get together and says they're going to pray for the peace of the city. And I remember sitting in my back porch, and I decided I'm just going to pray. So I went and lay down and I fell asleep. And when I fell asleep, I was transitioned to another dimension. And in this dimension, it was like different layers. So as I elevated, I saw a bunch of crowns spinning around, like the crowns that kings and queen wear. And I remember saying to myself, so this is true. There's actually crowns in heaven, right? And while I'm in all of this, what I'm seeing, the next thing I know, it almost looked like a palace just emerged out of the sky, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh my God. And then there was a person standing next to me in my peripheral vision. And I'm pointing to that person to look at what I saw. And he says nothing. And before I could know it, I was transitioned in that palace, in that space, right? And as I'm there was an open door, almost like, in those old biblical days, the door, they carve like this way, not like a regular door. And I stand in front of it, and in it was this bright light. And there was like sheeps inside. And I speak to the person, never looked to them, but I swim in my peripheral vision. And I said, I told you I could do it. I was saying that to the person who was standing next to me. And I said, I told you I could do it. Didn't answer. I began to step in to go into this space where all the lights were and the sheeps were. And as I stepped in, I woke up.
Sorry to talk over you a little bit there, but you said you were a bit scared. And I thought, well, I would have felt the same way too. But then you wrote the book now. And that book, Fighting for My Destiny, How I Pray to Get What I Need.
Yes.
Do those things in there, or was it a totally different direction that you went with the book?
Well, these experiences I just mentioned to you, this happened in the beginning stage of my relationship, right, with God. And I keep saying my relationship because growing up, I didn't really have a relationship with God. I just go to church. Right. But before that book, I remember I told you Philadelphia was going through some things. And I was in my kitchen one day, and I never really, I was a good writer, because I like the English language, but I never thought of writing in a book, quite frankly. And I was in my kitchen one day, and I heard this voice, like you're speaking to me, say, do you know how to take your city back? And before I could even answer, because I was just like, who is that? Before I could even answer, he answered, and he says, pray in the spirit. No, it said, gather all the churches, pray in the spirit, and pull the spirit down, because whatever the war that was going on in the city, the killing, it was all a spiritual thing. And remember, I'm new now in this relationship with God. So all these things about spirit, I'm learning myself, right? And so And then I had just begun going to this new church in Philadelphia called the New Covenant Church of Philadelphia. So when I heard that that was it, I'm thinking, okay, this is how innocent I was. I'm like, maybe I need to tell my pastor about this. I heard this voice and this was the direction. So I went to my pastor, who is now passed away, one of the founders of the church. And I told her, I said, I was in my kitchen and I heard this voice, and she looked at me kind of strange. Probably she was thinking, who are you to be telling me this? Like I was new to the church. You don't know who I am. She probably think I was crazy. So basically I get the brush off. That's okay. I wasn't offended. And it was a couple of days later, again, this voice come back to me and he said, write a book about Philadelphia.
Does he probably, whoever the voice was coming from, probably realized that you weren't being listened to. So he thought, let me find you a channel that you've got control over, and you can put the message out there through that.
And I start researching about Philadelphia. And what's so powerful about this experience, I go to the Central Library and I'll spend hours there reading and studying. And it's every reference and every place I could hear the Spirit of the Lord said, choose this one, leave this one alone, right? Reference this one or not reference this one. And it took me about 6 months of studying and reading books and books of books. And even the name was given to me. And so that's the first book, which is called Release the Prophetic Destiny in Philadelphia, a city under reconstruction. And so even though the city was going through something, this is a city where it begins in the United States. It was like the capital of the United States, Philadelphia, before it was Washington, D.C., right? Our Constitution was written here. It has a lot of historical facts. And this is my assumption that in a lot of in our cities around the world, at least in America, but also around the world, but in America specifically, my assumption is if Philadelphia can be transformed, that the other cities in this country would too. So it's almost like Philadelphia is a template because it says, it's under reconstruction. Reconstruction means it's like a rebuilding.
Maureen, I tell you what, this is a great point on which we should take a break. We're going to explore the record label when we get back in just a moment. But you're tuned to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, and we're speaking with Philadelphia-based author and music business executive, Maureen McFarlane. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
Nice time, Jamaica tours with Shaun.
There is so much you can do in Jamaica. To help you make the most of your Jamaican holiday, book today with Nice Time Jamaica Tours. We provide airport transfers, excursions and tours in Jamaica in air-conditioned comfort and style. If you are coming to Jamaica by cruise ship, be sure to book in advance. While you are in Jamaica, you have to visit the world-famous awe-inspiring 7 Mile Beach in Negril, a huge stretch of white sandy beach and clear blue waters in the warm Caribbean sunshine. Just dive, swim or bask your day away. Intermittently, have a refreshing cocktail at the Pelican Bar in the sea. You can top it off with a relaxing visit to the world-famous Rick's Cafe, where you can see the sunset. As its last smile of the day fills the evening sky with a rich and unforgettable glow, the chance is yours to behold this massive ball of illumination as it slowly and gently climbs down behind the horizons and disappears. To make your dream a reality, call your personal tour guide Shaun today on 1-876-390-9104 or visit nicetimejamaicatours.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok at Nice Time Jamaica Tours. Nice Time Jamaica Tours, helping you to create beautiful memories forever. Stargazing with Shaun Cain brings you up close and personal with your favorite stars of reggae and dancehall music and people that have impacted society in a very significant way. We invite you to subscribe to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain YouTube channel, like and share our videos, and leave a comment as we bring you fresh content every week. The Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show will inspire, educate, and bring out the best in you. Stargazing with Shaun Cain, up close and personal.
2x10 man, I move real fast, yeah? This is the boy Master Record, the girls them checker. You're watching the Stargazing Show with Shaun Cain. Up and personal. 2x10 man, I move real fast.
Welcome back. You're tuned to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, and we're speaking with Philadelphia-based author and music business executive, Maurine McFarlane.
Whenever there is a pastor or a prophet that comes to our church and they talk about Philadelphia, they're always talking about things in my book that they have never read. So, you know, the Spirit of the Lord works through different people. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Absolutely so. Then, as I was saying before, that you weren't being listened to, because when you went to the pastor, she kind of brushed you off a little bit because, I mean, you're new to the church. We don't know you as anyone with any strong spiritual foundation or connection with God. So, not sure what you were saying with that. Then you wrote the book. And then after music came into it because you started producing albums. So I think, you know, the first album there was Fighting for My Destiny. I think that's what
it's a prayer meditation, right?
And I mean, how did that come about? Why did you move on now? You did your book, then you move into music. Were you searching for a channel or a way of getting your messages out? What was it?
No, I did not. And in fact, the book I just described, the Philadelphia book, that was the first book. And that was 10 years later before the second book come, which is the one you asked me about before, Fighting for My Destiny, How I Learned to Pray to Get What I Need. And that book came about from an encounter with God that almost tore us apart. I don't know if you've ever believed something so strong and you just know God was going to deliver for you. Well, there was a time, this particular time in my life, when there was something that matters to me like nothing has ever mattered to me. And I was sure God was going to come through for me. And he did not. And it shook my faith in such a way that I would have never believed it. Only because I had such a close relationship, right? I mean, I'll sit at my table sometime with hours with God and he would like teaching me himself the Bible. And when that didn't happen, it shook everything for me. And at that point, I was just like beside myself. I was like, this is not real. I've been deceived. I just want to walk away from this. And in fact, I just like, that's it. I'm done with this, right? And God in his grace, allow me to have my moments. And when I said moments, maybe about a month, like you couldn't get me to pray. I didn't want to be bothered. I want to hear nothing about God or anything. And of course, my church sisters, they would always be praying, you know, for me and all that. And I didn't care. I was just so, I could say, disillusioned at that moment. But yes, you know, but God was so gracious and he just let me go. And then, you know, like slowly he started to kindle this relationship back, right?
To steer you around and redirecting you. Yeah.
But it was different this time, which is the purpose of why I guess he allowed that to happen, because I believe, and I keep saying this, I was beginning to be like a lot of church people. Very religious, but don't really know God per se, right? Or people who form God in their own image to satisfy their own biases and whatever, right? They have all these different biases, and then we choose scripture and wrap it around, right? And I don't know if I was becoming to be like one of those people, but this experience changed all of that. And so I started seeing God in a different light, and not the way I create him in my mind to me, but how he should be. And it's from that experience that in the mornings while I was getting ready for work, and this is so strange because at that moment, my car at the time broke down and I had to take the train into the city, and I live like in the suburbs. And I had to get up really early in the morning. So early that sometimes I'm the only one at the train station. So what I did was I said, you know what? I'm going to start singing. And so anybody see me, they'll think I'm crazy. So while I was at the stage waiting, I'll be just singing just songs that I know. But the first time this happened, this sound started to come out of my mouth that I never heard before. But it was just like really beautiful, right? And so one of my neighbor who is a pastor, but not only a pastor, is also like a musical genius. So I went to him and I said, listen, this strange thing is happening to me when I'm at the station singing these new songs coming out of my mouth I've never heard before. And he said, when you hear that, turn on your phone and record them. And so at this point, I have some knowledge of my relationship with God. So I thought, maybe God is trying to do something here. I'll make the story short. So it turned out he ended up giving me about 25 different kind of, songs. So I would record them. And then several later, I started to subscribe them down, write them down, and look. And I said, wow, I think God is giving these like lyrics or something, either lyrics or poem, but something. And I sat on them for quite frankly, about 10 years. And then, I was to write the second book and Fighting for My Destiny. This is my experience from that with God and then where he took me from. And when I completed that book, he said, before it was published, he said, I want you to write a prayer at the end of each chapter. Each chapter must have a prayer, right? So in this book, at the end of each chapter is a prayer in relationship to that chapter.
What does the music do to help you to meditate better?
Okay, so prayer, and I'm going to put prayer meditation, sort of a different person. You can have meditation music where it's just the music. And basically, meditation is supposed to center you in a place where you just stay focused on the source of your meditation and block everything else. With prayer meditation, there's specific prayer. There's like 13 prayers on this prayer meditation CD. And everyone doesn't always know what to say when they're praying. But with the prayer meditation and how I do it myself is every morning, part of my meditation, I would play it on my YouTube channel or, put my plug in my phone. And I just listen to the different prayer and just focus on the words of the prayer. The music also helps to relax your mind while you're focused on the message of the prayer, which lets you focus on God, right? Because one of the hardest things we have to do as people when we pray is to stop thinking about the problems of yesterday or the problem that's coming up tomorrow, right? And so even though God told us, just don't worry about tomorrow take us, as humans, we don't do that. So if we're really going to spend time in the presence of God, we need to just block everything out and meditation discipline you to do that. So I set it up really easy for people, especially if you don't know what to pray for. So we have the 3 different, prayers. And so that's what it does. It's really beautiful. And it's one of my biggest download is the prayer meditation, which tells me people obviously is very much in need of solitude with God.
And you are certainly helping them to find that kind of connection with God and to be in one, with God and meditate. Now, you are a music executive. Who are some of the artists that you work with? Because you talked about the meditation music and your friend who produced it or read the prayers and things like those. So I want to know about the singing part of it now, the artists that you work with.
The artists, right. Well, we are very fortunate to have some great, talented individuals. Remember I told you when I was, the Lord started to download all these songs for me. So when he told me to start this record label, I was again what do I know about music? But I'm smart enough to know what I don't know. So I went out and I hired an entertainment attorney who has been in the business for 30 years. And I told him what I'd like to do. I don't know nothing about the business. And because of his experience, he was able to put all the legal things together, all the things that I need to do, get everything registered. And then he said to me, I told him about all the lyrics that I had, right? And he said, how many do you have? I said, well, I have about 10 that's registered right now or copyright. And I send them to him. And without me knowing, he said, which 3 you want to release first? And I chose my 3. He chose his 3. Turned out that the number 1 he started was I Am Strong. And because he's been in the business for over 30 years, he's affiliated with artists all over because you represent different artists. And so the first song we released of the lyrics that I wrote was I Am Strong. And he said, I have the perfect person for this. Her name is Capathia Jenkins. Capathia Jenkins is a Broadway actress, television actress as well, but she's also a singer. And in fact, she travels all over the country. She used to be the world, but with all the changes, it's just in the country now. And she sings with orchestras and she performs different things. But she has a particular program called I've Got Soul. And when she performed that, she always sing her latest single, I Am Strong. It's about our different emotions, right? Our fears, because I have a fear, I have a disappointment, but despite all those things, I am strong because he loves me. And that's a very, very popular one as well. Also, the artists that I have, very fortunate for me, Philadelphia is an artistic town. Yeah. We have a lot of gifted people here, a lot of music. This is a music town, right?
I know you got the George Benson, the Phyllis Hyman, and you've got the whole Philly production, Phyllis, Patti LaBelle, and all those people. Yeah, I know about.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and we have some great people like Val Gay, Garrett Morgan. All these individuals are what you call classically trained. They sing in different languages. They're very good at what they do. And Val Gay, who my encounter with her was interesting because I didn't met her first, but a sister of mine of my church know that even before I start the business that I had all these music written. And I said, I just want, because I didn't know I was going to start a business. So I thought if I could find somebody to sing these songs, that would be great. And she was at a funeral one day, and this girl was so amazing. She went up to her and said, can I have your number? Because I have a friend who has great song, and she's looking for someone to sing them. And she gave me this lady's number named Valerie Gay, who we're now very good friends. I reached out to Valerie even before God told me to start the business. And Val, she then is instrumental in not only she sings on my label too, but she's instrumental in introducing me to one of the best producers and engineer in Philadelphia, all the people that it takes to run a record label. This is how blessed I've been. She introduced me, to Gary, who sang with her the song, There Is a Time. And the song, There's a Time, that was one of the latest lyrics, one of the latest words the Lord gave me. And this was just before, not this past election, but the previous election. It was the end of Mr. Trump's first term. And there's a path that I walk every morning. I call the sacred place that I go near my home. And so part of my walking would be to pray to the Lord. And I remember I was praying to the Lord and I was just thinking, oh God, I cannot go through another 4 years of this, please. What's going on? Change. And then he started to give me this word about the song. And as usual, I recorded as I was walking, and I went home and I started to look up in scripture because I like to reference things with it. And I realized, he's giving me something from Ecclesiastes 3, but there's a season and a time, So I wrote down what he told me. It wasn't finished. It took about 3 weeks so I get a complete message. Songs like There's a Time, even I Am Strong. We don't use just computerized things. We use live music to record these. So the sounds are powerful and rich, Yeah.
That is indeed something. How easy, though, is it to navigate this business called the music business? Is it easy to get promotions, get people to play your music on the radio, get your artists on shows? Hey, how do you get around all these different things? Because I would imagine they are to jump over, aren't they?
It is difficult, which is what I did not know as well. And I have to say, even though I get the word from the Lord, they're going to be successful. I have to say in the last 3 years, it's been the most challenging one. I am so committed to this that I invest like all my retirement in it, right? And it takes a lot. And what I found out is it's a very competitive world, but also people are not as generous as you think, even gospel music. So you think they'd want to, introduce you to places, not so. Everyone is not generous with their time.
Maureen, I tell you what, this is a great point on which we should take a break. We're going to explore the record label when we get back in just a moment. But you're tuned to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, and we're speaking with Philadelphia-based author and music business executive, Maureen McFarlane. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
Stargazing with Shaun Cain brings you up close and personal with your favorite stars of reggae and dancehall music and people that have impacted society in a very significant way. We invite you to subscribe to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain YouTube channel, like and share our videos, and leave a comment as we bring you fresh content every week. The Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show will inspire, educate, and bring out the best in you. Stargazing with Shaun Cain, up close and personal. Are you heading to Jamaica for a short stay and need convenient accommodation away from the hustle and bustle of the city? The warm and inviting Williams Family Home Airbnb is a spacious and comfortable 2-bedroom short stay accommodation nestled in quiet Windsor Castle, Portland, located within easy reach of Boston and Frenchman's Cove sand beaches, the Rio Grande, home of the world-famous Rio Grande rafting attraction, and Jamaica's Blue Mountains National Park, a World Heritage Site. The Williams Family Home provides elegant and comfy beds, ensuite bathroom with hot water, a large and cozy living room, modern air conditioning, washing machine, cooking and dining facilities, Wi-Fi, flat screen TV with access to Netflix and Disney Plus and other channels, free parking and security cameras on premises for your privacy and peace of mind. Forget your cares and enjoy your deserved break in very peaceful surroundings. You can stay at the Williams Family Home Airbnb for one night, a few nights, a whole week, or even longer. To secure this quiet and comfortable short stay accommodation at one of the most competitive rates, check availability and book now at airbnb.co.uk. The Williams Family Home Airbnb, your relaxing home away from home.
Hey yo, it's me, your truly Fitzroy Lee 123, inviting you to check out Stargazing with Shaun Cain anywhere you're there in the world. Stargazing with Shaun Cain, stargazing, it's amazing. Keep it blazing, Shaun. Hot water, hot water, hot water.
Welcome back. You're tuned to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, and we're speaking with Philadelphia-based author and music business executive, Maureen McFarlane.
And getting the music, say, on secular radio where everybody can hear, because that's how you make money. People, you can have beautiful music, but if the masses are not hearing it, you don't make much money.
True.
Because, unlike the whole times when you could sell CDs, though it's still there, today is about streaming.
Yes, streaming.
Right? You have to download the music from whatever platform a person may have, such as, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music or YouTube Music, wherever you get your music from. You actually have to take the time to download it on your playlist. And each time you download a song, it's really just like 99 cents, right? So Spotify, they hold on to most of that. So the record label and the artist, which, the royalties collected for them by the different companies, it's very small amount, right? You have these, what they call PRO companies, performance right organization, like BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC. They collect royalty for the writer, the producer, the performer, right? And Sound Exchange, they collect a royalty for the company for the sound recording, right? So, but what happened is it's such a small percentage that you need to download millions and millions and millions to make any money, or to get it. And so the challenge I'll find out is, like, I market this stuff, you have company comes in and say, I can get this, and then you spend a lot of money in marketing. But right now we have not yet get the result that I'm sure we'll eventually get, which is to saturate the market on the radio. So is who you know, right? So I'm always grateful when people like yourself invite me on your platform because you never know who is listening.
That's it. Very much so. And you just have to be present.
Right. And I'm hoping somebody from some radio network will say, oh, we're going to, put them on our playlist, and they play, and it goes all over the world because the messages are powerful, and they bring peace. And it's, so what I do, Shaun, is I continue just to create music and build this catalog in open that something will take off soon, before I go totally broke.
Well, that's the idea. You just have to keep putting things out there.
Some money and want to call me up and say, hey, sister, I'd like to help you out. But other than that, it is hard.
It is. I can just imagine. But do you only work with American artists or artists who are based in America, or do you do Jamaican artists as well? I mean,
well, remember, I'm only going on 4 years, and usually you work with those within your connection circle, your network, right? We don't only put out gospel music. We put out music that are positive. They're going to have a good impact, positive impact on people's life, right? It could be gospel, it could be contemporary, it could be jazz, but it has to be clean. I don't particularly care for music where they're cursing or they're demeaning women or any race. I don't like that kind of stuff.
You're not the only one. I'm a stickler for that. As long as the music and all of that, I'm out.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not interested in working.
Inspiring people, giving them hope, and giving direction about how we can live better as human beings, and how to make this journey of life more bearable. Then I'm on. Anything else, I'm out.
Yeah.
Definitely so. So what if then you've got, like, say, an artist from Jamaica who does positive music, and they're interested in working with you? They would like you to be a part of your label and get their music out there through your channels and your means and network. Hey, how can they contact you?
Well, there's a couple ways you can contact. One, you can go on my website, right, and which is www.cloudrecord, right, LLC.com. And that Cloud Record would be no S on the record, right? Because when they were creating the website, for some reason, they didn't put the S on. So it's just cloudrecordllc.com. And there you'll see your contact information. You can send me an email, which is big.
Things like Instagram, Facebook. TikTok.
Yes, right. You can go on our YouTube channel. We're all over our music. I also have a music podcast, which is on there. So you can watch all the music podcasts, like it and follow us. And that is on Cloud Records LLC 5959. That's our YouTube channel. We're also on Instagram at Cloud Record LLC 2020. And we're also on TikTok at Cloud Record LLC. And there's a new app out. It's Black-owned, which I'm all for blackness. It's called Fanbase. And if you don't have it, you should get it. Fanbase. And on there, we're Cloud Record LLC 1. So you can find us on all these places. I'm not on Twitter or former Twitter X, don't like it, so I'm not on there. And I'm also not on Facebook. But everywhere else you can find us. And follow us, send me a message. That's, I met Shaun on Instagram. Excuse me. Sorry. And just send me a message and I'll respond appropriately.
DM, they like to call it, direct message me or something, DM me. So that's
yes.
You're tuned to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, and we're speaking with Philadelphia-based businesswoman and author, as well as music business executive, Maurine McFarlane. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Stargazing with Shaun Cain brings you up close and personal with your favorite stars of reggae and dancehall music and people that have impacted society in a very significant way. We invite you to subscribe to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain YouTube channel, like and share our videos, and leave a comment as we bring you fresh content every week. The Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show will inspire, educate, and bring out the best in you. Stargazing with Shaun Cain, up close and personal.
Never get no help, I'm struggling. Yo, This is Relevant Boss, and I'm here to represent the Stargazing Show featuring Shaun Cain. This show brings you up close and personal with your favorite dancehall and reggae artists. What I love about this show, it gives young artists an opportunity to share their story and to talk about the obstacles that they've been through to get them to where they are today. Don't forget to subscribe to the Stargazing Show on YouTube. Big up yourself, Shaun. Out.
Welcome back. You're tuned to the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, and we're speaking with Philadelphia-based businesswoman, author, and as we said, she's a businesswoman. She's a record company executive as well. It's Maurine McFarlane. Now, Maureen, I realize that you've been so busy doing all sorts, but you're also trying to build your knowledge base and your skills base to ensure that when you embark on these projects, you've got a really good idea where you're going, even if you don't know everything, but you've got a good idea, because you hold a Master of Business Administration degree with a major in marketing from Temple University. How has that qualification helped you in your business ventures?
Well, it's so, yeah. Well, obviously, degree is helpful, but nothing is more helpful than just life experiences, right? Because you learn all the mistakes you make, right, from previous business or even the current business. Because one of the things about venturing into a new business is you just, if it's a new business, you're learning that you're going to make a lot of mistakes. I have, right? I've spent too much where I shouldn't spend, right? And sometimes you trust people because you're not sure, right? And people try to take advantage. And I'm not talking like your artists. No, I'm talking people within the business, right? Also, because you're trying to get your music out there, you're willing to spend a lot of money everywhere. It's not a good thing, right?
Everybody also is stretching their hands.
Right, because everybody will promise.
I can give me that and I'll help you. And once you hand over, you get nothing back. You don't get
right. Exactly. Everybody promised you they can do something, and it just can't happen. And another thing is, at the beginning, I had enough funds saved, but I didn't realize how long it will take. And because I choose to do things in good quality, like you can make a music, it doesn't cost you much. That's not me. Everything I do has to be done on a very high scale, right? The videos for the music, they're all good quality and they're expensive. When you sign an artist, we're not Columbia Record, but we still have to give them a sign fee, right? And depends on the particular star or how famous or not famous these people are. But if they don't have to be like a Beyonce, but if they're doing, if they're performing all over, they're considered, and so you have to come up with that money for the initial, sign-in and thing bonus. And yes, once the records start to make money, of course, that you subtract that back, from all, whatever they get. But it takes a lot. Also, if you don't have a lot of connection in the business, it's very difficult to get exposure. And that's also a challenge I have, right? Is I don't have anyone to particularly open doors for me where some major radio stations say, oh man, you got to play her music, so I get invited and I appreciate all of where I go. Different platform open that a little bit of time it will get out, until eventually reach to the platform where millions and millions and billions of people can hear it. Because once they hear it, they love it and they will download and the company will start make money so we can even make more music. You were talking about artists. I would love to take an artist from wherever they come, but it takes money. So now I have to be limited to how many people I can say, okay, I want to take your music. I want you to work with me because I'm funding this myself. And after 3 years, the funds are not as what they were 3 years ago.
But it's interesting you say that, Maureen, because my next question is, what criteria have you got when you get approached by an artist or you see an artist that you're interested in and you'd like to sign? What boxes do they have to tick before you think to yourself that this is a good deal or we might be onto something?
Well, here's for me so far, and this is a great thing. One, you have to have exceptional vocal skill, right? But again, because I work with all these talented people, for example, because most of the song that has been released thus far from Cloud Record is the lyrics that I have written, When I then turn it over, say, to Austin Woodland, who is a gentleman who come up with the melodies for the song and write the music for the song and arrange and all these different things, sometimes they already have in their mind the singer that's going to be good for that song. And so he has a wide range of friends who are excellent performer. And so while he's creating the music, he'll say, for example, Jesus Christ is Lord is one of the second release we did. And that song is sung by a young lady called Camilla Green. And when he was writing the melody for that, he knew that she was the one based on her vocals, on her range. And she was perfect for it. When we were getting ready to do I Am Strong, my attorney, entertainment attorney, knew the person vocal that would fit this perfectly, and he knew it was Carpathia Jenkins. So he reached out to her and told her and sent her the music. And she, at which where she was in her life, it speaks to her. And let me tell you, if you hear her perform it live, which I've seen many times in these big orchestra behind her, it is the most amazing experience. It's such a wonderful, powerful song, right? So there are people who recognize Val is the same way. When we were doing, there's a time I said to Austin, who would be good for this, because I knew I wanted to be a song almost like The Prayer, the prayer that's sung by Celine Dion and that Italian singer. I can't think of his name right now. I was trying to get that feel. And so we thought, oh yeah, Val. And then I called her and said, Val, who would sing this with you? And because they're in that world, she says, Gary, and he was perfect, and they just nail it. So I don't really have to go and solicit anyone because I'm surrounded with people who are very connected, right? But if someone comes to me and they send, maybe a sample, which I've had someone did before, and even if I don't have something for them right now in terms of their style, when I create or write something, or if they write something, then if it's really good, I'll consider that. Yeah.
Very good. That's really nice. But moving a little bit away from the music now, and you mentioned about the Lighthouse Covenant International before. I know that you are the director, or you've been the director of the Transform Your Mind Interactive Learning Initiative. And it is a pioneering cognitive behavioral program. Mm-hmm. That was introduced in the Philadelphia prison system. Mm-hmm. Now, a little bit about that program and the impact it had.
Oh, man. The stories, I'm telling you, they're so powerful. So remember the first book that I've written called, Philadelphia, The Prophetic Destiny in Philadelphia, City Under Reconstruction? Well, once I finished that book, my publisher said, you need to get 2 people to endorse the book. And with my church, I was part of the prison ministry, where I would go into women prison once a month with other members of the church, and we minister to women. So when this book came out, again, praying one night, I heard the Lord says, take the book to the prison commissioner. And at the time, we had a new commissioner. He's all new, right? And wanted other person I wanted 2 people to endorse the book. One was him, and one was the former mayor of Philadelphia, the Mayor Good. And so I approached the former mayor, who happens to be good friends of my pastor. He came to my church one Sunday to preach, and I always admired him as the mayor of Philadelphia, though I didn't know him personally before then. And I met him in my church, and he gave me his card. And so I thought I was led to call him. So I called him up and I said, I've written a book. And because he also had a program in the prison for children whose parents are in prison, and they were doing amazing work, I said, I've written a book, and I think it would be good to go in the prison for the men, because, one of the things about the books is divided in 3 parts. It talks about the spiritual aspect of all the spiritual warfare in the city in terms of the wars and the killing. Then it talks about the fatherless society, because a lot of our men are in prison, right? And which means the children fathers were no longer there, they're in prison. And the third part of the book talk about what us at Lighthouse Covenant International, which is a nonprofit organization that I formed with a good friend of mine named Carol Blacken, and what the things that we want to do to make a difference. And so the mayor read it, the former mayor read it, and he said, I'd love to endorse it. I then called the prison commissioner's office, this new commissioner doesn't know me, but since I'm part of this very famous church in Philadelphia, my church is, like there, it's one of those big churches. And so I called his office and said, I'd like to come and speak with the commissioner, plus I'm a volunteer for many years of the prison system. So he allowed me to see him and his deputy. And I walk in there and I told him that I've written a book. And I said, I'd love after the book is published, for you to put it in your library, because that's what I thought God wanted me to do. And he said, go see him. And for some reason, I said to him while I was in the meeting, I'd love for you to endorse the book as well, because I need 2 people to endorse, right? And he doesn't know me from Adams. Naturally, he told me no. He said, no, I'm not going to. Exactly like that. I remember walking out of there feeling a little bit embarrassed. I'm just like, no, why would God send me to this man to be insulted, right?
Mean man.
At home and forget it. And my publisher keeps saying, you need somebody else, So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to send him the manuscript. So I mailed it to the commissioner. And about 2 weeks later, I got a call from his secretary. And she said, the commissioner wants to see you. I'm like, okay. So I went to see him. And maybe 2 minutes after I sat in the meeting, he said, I just want you to know that I am going to endorse your book and would love to have it here in the prison. I'm thinking, oh my God, God was right. He said no the first time, but here he's telling me yes, right? And so once the book was published, I called him back and I says, I'd like to drop off a signed copy to you just to thank you for doing what you did. And so this time I went with, at the time, my business partner, Carol. We went in his office and he's just talking how he loved you and enjoyed the book. And then he said to us, you should start a program in the prison around the teaching of your book. We never thought about it. Then here's the thing. My business partner, Carol, is a psychologist of learning and development, right? Even though I'm not an educator, she was. First, it was 6 weeks to 12 weeks to 16 weeks. And we were in 2 prisons. We went there all day Saturdays. We left one prison to the next. And by the time we were finished, I was going in courts on behalf of those who graduated from our program to talk to the judge on their behalf. Instead of sending them upstate, most of them were drug related. I think 1 or twice we may have a murder in our class, but most of them were not. And to give them second chances, we talked with their district attorney for leniency. And it did happen. In addition to that, before they released from prison, I would call their wives or their parents and meet with them so we can encourage them not to force these people who have been in prison, because they come home and they want them get a job. If they don't get a job quickly, they turn back, to what they were doing. And the thing about it, now I become part of these people's family. Because I was meeting with their mothers or their wives and, things. And it was, and we had all different ages, from young age to older men. And it was the most amazing thing I've ever done. But as we were growing so big, at the point we had about 15 volunteers that was working with us. And all this work is all volunteer work. But after year 5 into 6, we realized we need to get funding and we need to expand the program because this is really hard to do, to get money to fund things, right? So we said, we're going to take a break and go on and trying to find funding. And then, of course, after that happens, stuff sort of unraveling life, changes. But yeah, we did. That's the most amazing work I've ever done. And today I am still connected student that I had in prison then, because I have on every Monday night, I have a via Zoom, a Bible class I do for an hour, and they connect through that. I know, right? So now I have these long relationships.
You've had an impact, and that's what it's all about. But then again, after that program, now you've got your radio program as well, where you've got the bi-weekly Cloud Records music podcast, where you highlight talented artists. In addition, you've got the Maureen's Kitchen Talk.
Kitchen Table Talk. Yes.
And stew and beans. And I mean, what do you talk about?
Yeah. The podcast was really I created a podcast because I wanted to expose the music that we produce to other folks, right? And when I started my YouTube channel, I think I had like 50 subscribers. So this really is amazing. So once I started the podcast, I said, you know what, Lord, it is hard when you're young and nobody knows you to be exposed. So I'd like to interview and highlight artists who are upcoming but not yet famous.
Well, Maureen, it was really great talking to you. But before we go, we'd like to sort of talk a little bit about this book. I've generally selected questions from it. It's called Reggae Larger Than Life, the ultimate reggae music fun and games book. Currently available on Amazon. Also available in bookshops in Jamaica. The book University of the West Indies Mona Campus Bookshop. Also at the Angels Book and Variety Store in Spanish Town. And it's also available at Ashby's Pharmacy, 160 Old Hope Road in Kingston. So I generally select questions from these. 2 questions just to see what your knowledge of reggae music is. So the 2 questions I've selected for you are, the first one is, Maureen, let's go. Born in 9 Miles in the Jamaican parish of St. Anne in 1945, this Buffalo Soldier reggae superstar was given a Lifetime Achievement Grammy Award posthumously in the United States in February 2001. Who was he? The options are Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, Delroy Wilson, and Dennis Brown.
Bob Marley, of course.
Oh, listen to that. Okay. Bob Marley, the Buffalo Soldier. Freedom fighter, just like you are, fighting for people. He's the same thing you did.
Trying my best.
Right, so we're going to stick with Bob Marley for a little bit. The second question says, the late reggae king Bob Marley founded Records on Marcus Garvey Drive in Kingston, Jamaica in 1965. What was the name of this record company? The options are Studio One, Tough Gong, Jammies, and Quantanium Records.
Tough Gun.
Tough Gong is the answer. I see you're a very connected lady. You kind of know what's going on.
Well, you know what, Shaun? I am so impressed with that book. And like I said, I'm going to be doing the Eastern Jamaica in August for, Independent. I am going to buy your book. I'm going to read it, but I'm also going to reference it on my show.
Very, very good. I'm sure I'm going to see some changes in the numbers after that.
Well, you never know. I always says you never know what exposure brings, right?
Definitely. And if you'd like me to have a word on the show as well, just let me know. I don't mind, Let's have you on the show, Shaun. Have a little chat with us, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Don't mind, we talk about that. But this book, the questions were taken from this book, Reggae Larger Than Life. Currently available on Amazon. It's also available in Jamaica, Ashby's Pharmacy, 160 Old Hope Road in Kingston. The shop at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies, and also at Angels Book and Variety Store. Well, Maureen, that's all we have time for in this edition of the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show. Our special guest was Philadelphia-based author and music business executive, Maureen McFarlane. We do invite you to join us for the Stargazing with Shaun Cain Show, the musical side, every Sunday at 10 a.m. to 12 midday, British Standard Time, on Rex Radio in the UK. From the USA, Motif Radio and Viscosity Blend, and from Kingston, Jamaica, on Richie B Radio. So until next time, this is Shaun Cain saying, thanks for joining. See you soon.